Thank you for choosing Wisdom of the Dharma. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new update. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful, life-changing wisdom with the world. And don't forget to drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's grow and learn together. Part 1. The Forgotten Altar. Why your dining table might be draining your fortune. Have you ever considered that your dining table might be silently shaping your financial destiny? Most people never think twice about it. It's just a table. A place to eat. Maybe a spot for some casual conversation. But what if I told you that this ordinary surface, often covered in crumbs, clutter, or yesterday's mail, could be the very reason your financial energy feels stuck? In the teachings of ancient Eastern wisdom, particularly in Buddhist mindfulness and Feng Shui, the dining table isn't just furniture. It's sacred space. A subtle altar where energy gathers, intentions are set, and fortunes are invited, or blocked. Let me take you back to a remote mountain monastery in Kyoto, Japan, where an old monk lived alone in silence. He had no money, no modern comforts, not even electricity in the early years. Yet, travelers would often find their way to him, not for donations, but for wisdom. Over time, those who stayed near his presence began to see changes in their lives. Their health improved. Their businesses grew. Relationships healed. When asked how such blessings unfolded, the monk never claimed to perform miracles. He simply pointed to his modest wooden dining table. "This is where the real practice happens," he would say with a calm smile. "The way you eat is the way you live. The way you treat this table is the way the world will treat your abundance." That stuck with me. Because here's the thing, our homes are filled with energetic cues. Places where energy either flows or stagnates. And the dining table is one of the most overlooked spiritual hotspots. In Buddhist tradition, food is considered one of the most powerful forms of offering. Not just to others, but to life itself. How you serve it, how you eat it, how you honor it, all of it sends a signal to the universe about what you're ready to receive. Your dining table becomes a message board for your karma. Yet in many modern homes, the dining table is anything but sacred. It's where unpaid bills sit. Where laundry piles up. Where arguments erupt. And in those moments, the energy shifts. Instead of inviting peace and prosperity, the table begins to reflect disconnection, stress, and lack. Have you ever noticed how your financial life feels different when your home is in order, especially your kitchen and dining area? That's not a coincidence. That's spiritual physics. Feng Shui calls it mouth qi, the flow of energy that enters through what we consume. But Buddhist philosophy goes even deeper. It teaches us that everything you place on the table is a form of mindful offering. Not just to yourself, but to your family, your ancestors, and your financial future. So let me ask you again. What is your table saying about your relationship with wealth? In this video, we're going to go far beyond placing random objects for good luck. We're going to explore how your dining table can become a sacred tool for unlocking prosperity. You'll learn about the spiritual power hidden in ordinary items, like bread, fruits, salt, or flowers, and how they can act as energy amplifiers. You'll hear stories of real people who shifted their fortunes simply by honoring this space with more intention. And most importantly, you'll walk away with rituals you can start practicing tonight to invite wealth into your life, not in some vague, magical way, but grounded in ancient truth and everyday action. Because here's the lesson that monk in Kyoto lived by, and what we'll explore together. Your dining table is not just where you eat. It's where you speak to the universe about what you believe you deserve. If you treat it with reverence, gratitude, and clarity, it will respond. Not as a superstition, but as a spiritual law. So clear a space. Light a candle. Open your mind. And let's begin the journey of transforming your table into a true altar of abundance. Part 2. Fruits, nature's wealth codes on your table. When you place a bowl of fresh fruit on your dining table, you may think you're just adding a pop of color. But in spiritual traditions across the world, from Buddhist monasteries to ancient Chinese temples, fruit has always meant something far greater. It's a symbol, a code, a message to the universe that says, there is life here. There is abundance here. There is more than enough. Let's go back to the basics. What is fruit, really? It's the final, fulfilled promise of growth. It begins as a seed, invisible and vulnerable. With patience, water, sun, and time, that seed becomes a blossom. Then, finally, fruit. Sweet. Whole. Ready to nourish. That's why fruit shows up in so many spiritual traditions as a representation of wealth, success, and the reward of good karma. It's a mirror of our own journey. When we've planted wisely and tended carefully, prosperity arrives in full, vibrant form, just like a ripe orange or a cluster of grapes. In Feng Shui, placing fruit on the dining table isn't just decorative, it's energetic. It tells your subconscious and your space, growth is happening here. We are open to receiving. And yes, the type of fruit matters. Let's talk about apples. Especially red apples. In Chinese tradition, red apples represent peace and financial stability. In Buddhist practice, they are often offered on altars as a prayer for safety and harmony. But there's something deeper happening too. Their round shape and strong skin symbolize protection, the kind of stable, protective energy we all need when managing wealth. A bowl of red apples on your table says, we're anchored. We're secure. Our foundation is strong. Now think about bananas. Their gentle, curved shape. Their cheerful yellow color. In many traditions, bananas are connected to luck, adaptability, and easy transitions. They remind us that prosperity doesn't always have to be hard-won. Sometimes, fortune comes to those who flow, not fight. If you've been feeling financially stuck, bringing bananas into your dining space can help soften that energy and make room for easier, smoother breakthroughs. Then we have oranges, the classic prosperity fruit in Feng Shui. Their scent alone is believed to clear negativity. Their color is vibrant, alive, filled with energy. In Buddhist temples during the Lunar New Year, oranges are often offered in pairs to represent multiplying wealth and joyful energy. One small change, keeping a bowl of oranges on your table, fresh, regularly replaced, can raise the frequency of your entire space. And grapes. Oh, the beauty of grapes. A single vine carrying many fruits. In Buddhist iconography, grapes symbolize community, prosperity through connection, and the power of shared abundance. This is the fruit of long-term wealth. Not a flash of money that comes and goes, but rooted prosperity that spreads and supports everyone around you. But beyond individual meanings, what really matters is your intention. That's the golden thread that runs through all spiritual teachings, including Buddhism. The power of a bowl of fruit doesn't come just from tradition. It comes from how you place it, how you see it, how you feel when you walk past it. Here's a story from one of our Dharma listeners, Angela. She was a single mom living in a small apartment in Detroit. She worked hard, really hard, but felt like money kept slipping away no matter what she did. After watching a talk about abundance rituals, she decided to try something simple. She bought a clear glass bowl and filled it with fruit, apples, oranges, and bananas. But before placing it on her table, she did something else. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said aloud, This is a bowl of blessings. Every time we eat from it, our fortune multiplies. Every fruit is a prayer answered. She didn't expect much. But within 2 months, her freelance work picked up. She received a grant she didn't even apply for. Someone had recommended her name. And more importantly, she said her home just felt lighter, calmer, like something had been cleared. Now, was it the fruit? Or the intention behind the fruit? In Dharma, we don't separate the two. Form and energy move together. That's what makes these rituals powerful. So if you're wondering where to begin, begin with fruit. Not as decoration, but as a living message to life itself. Start with what you love. Choose fruits that feel vibrant and alive. Place them in a clean, beautiful bowl. Set an intention. Speak to them, even silently, as a form of gratitude. Replace them as they begin to age. Never let decay sit on your altar of abundance. Let the fruit be your daily reminder. Wealth is a natural process. Growth is always possible. Nourishment and prosperity are not reserved for the lucky, they're invited by the mindful. And your dining table? It's already waiting. Part 3, The Fire of Black Pepper, Protecting Your Wallet Through Spices. Black pepper. It's on almost every dining table, often overlooked, casually sprinkled, forgotten the moment the meal begins. But in ancient wisdom traditions, black pepper isn't just seasoning. It's a protector, a purifier, a quiet guardian of your financial life. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like every time money comes in, something unexpected takes it right back out? A car repair, a sudden medical bill, a deal that falls through. It's like money is playing a game of hide and seek, and you're always left chasing it. There's a reason spiritual traditions emphasize not just attracting wealth, but protecting it. Because in many cases, the issue isn't that you're not earning enough. It's that the energy around your money isn't guarded. And that's where black pepper comes in. In Buddhist and Ayurvedic traditions, black pepper is associated with the element of fire. Not destructive fire, but cleansing fire. The kind that burns away obstacles. That illuminates the path. That destroys negativity at its root, leaving space for growth. In some temples, especially in rural India and Southeast Asia, monks will burn black peppercorns with herbs during certain rituals, to clear bad spirits, release attachments, and even break karmic stickiness that blocks progress. They believe that black pepper has the power to shake stagnant energy and drive it out. Let's translate that to your life. Imagine your finances as a house. You can decorate it beautifully, fill it with fruits, light candles, set intentions. But if your doors are wide open and unguarded, anything can walk in or out. Fear, doubt, distraction, greed. All of these can drain your prosperity before it has a chance to take root. That's why placing a small dish of black peppercorns on your dining table, especially near your salt or oil, becomes more than a culinary touch. It's an energetic firewall. A simple but powerful message. We protect what feeds us. We guard our abundance with awareness. I want to share a story with you, something that still gives me chills. Several years ago, I met a man named Carlos at a workshop on energy flow and spiritual finance. He owned a small business and a decent income, but he always felt like he was bleeding money. Every month, something unexpected would knock his budget off track. He'd tried budgeting apps, new investments, even meditations. But nothing stuck. During one session, we introduced the concept of energetic blockages, and how certain items, placed with intention, can clear invisible disruptions. Carlos was skeptical, but open. He went home and followed a very simple ritual. He cleaned his dining table, lit a small candle, and placed a tiny bowl of whole black peppercorns in the center. Every morning, before breakfast, he'd pause and say, "May this fire protect my home. May it burn away worry. May my wealth be safe and strong." He did this quietly. No incense, no chants, no drama. Within 6 weeks, things began to shift. Small leaks in his finances stopped. A late-paying client suddenly paid in full. His child's unexpected medical expense was fully reimbursed by an insurance claim he didn't even know covered it. He told me later, "I didn't change how much I earned. I just stopped losing what I already had." That's the wisdom of black pepper. It doesn't shout. It guards. It doesn't attract in the way flowers or fruit do. Instead, it preserves what matters. There's another layer to this, too: mental clarity. In many spiritual healing systems, pepper is used to sharpen the mind. In Buddhism, a clear mind is the foundation of wise action. And wise action leads to stable wealth. So when you bring black pepper into your space, you're not only protecting your money, you're also protecting your thoughts, your ability to make good decisions, your inner compass. So how can you use black pepper practically? Start simple. Get a small ceramic or wooden bowl. Fill it with whole black peppercorns, not ground. Place it near the center of your table, or next to your salt. Before meals, touch the bowl for a moment. Inhale deeply. And set a brief intention. Let this fire burn away lack. Let this spice protect what I build. You don't need to believe in magic. This isn't about superstition. It's about bringing consciousness to what surrounds you, so that your space starts working with you, not against you. And remember, wealth isn't just about growth. It's about protection. Just as we nourish, we must guard. Black pepper may be small, but it carries the fire of transformation. Part 4, Bread, the silent prayer for stability. Bread. Just the word alone evokes something ancient, something sacred. Across cultures, religions, and time, bread has always meant more than food. It's comfort. It's security. It's the reassurance that we'll be okay, that we'll have enough, today and tomorrow. And when placed on your dining table, it becomes something even deeper, a silent prayer for financial stability. In many Buddhist monasteries, simple food is revered not for its luxury but for its consistency. The daily meal, often rice or bread, is eaten in complete silence. That silence isn't just ritual. It's respect. It's gratitude. And more than anything, it's an acknowledgement that nourishment is a sacred exchange between life and self. Now, let's bring this back to your home. Think about the phrase we all know, putting bread on the table. It's not just an expression. It's a deep-seated belief that when there is bread, there is safety. There is grounding. There is enough. But what if that loaf of bread, or even a slice, could also anchor your financial energy? Here's the truth most people miss. When money comes in waves, it creates anxiety. It feels unstable, like you're always catching up. Bread, on the other hand, is the opposite. It represents consistency. It's not flashy. It doesn't demand attention. But it shows up, day after day, reliable, simple, filling. That's the kind of financial energy many of us crave. Not sudden riches followed by chaos, but steady, nourishing abundance. There's a Buddhist concept called Samma Ajiva, right livelihood. It teaches us that wealth should come from ethical, consistent, and sustainable work. When we align with that energy, prosperity flows without guilt, without fear. Bread holds that vibration. It says, you don't need to chase. You are already provided for. Let me share a story with you. Years ago, I met a woman named Linda in Colorado. She was going through a rough patch, a divorce, unstable job, mounting bills. Every morning felt like a battle. One day, while reading a book on spiritual home rituals, she stumbled on a passage about bread. The author suggested placing fresh bread on the table each week, not just as food, but as a symbol, a reminder of daily provision and a declaration of trust. Linda thought it was silly, but she was desperate. She baked a simple loaf one Sunday, placed it on a small cutting board in the center of her table, and said quietly, "Let this home never lack. Let this table always have something to share." She didn't tell anyone. She didn't make it a big deal. But she repeated the ritual every Sunday. Sometimes she baked. Sometimes she bought bread from the local farmer's market. Always, she placed it with intention. Over the next 3 months, her life began to shift. A side hobby turned into a paying gig. Her sister, without being asked, paid off one of her credit cards as a gift. Most importantly, Linda said she stopped waking up in panic. "There's something about seeing that bread," she told me, "that reminds me I'm supported, even when I don't have all the answers." That's the essence of spiritual prosperity. Not just external wealth, but inner calm. The belief that you're not alone. That you are, quite literally, being fed. Here's how you can bring this into your own life. Each week, maybe every Sunday or on the new moon, prepare or purchase a loaf of bread. It doesn't have to be fancy. What matters is the act. Place it at the center of your dining table, ideally on a wooden tray or cloth. Before your next meal, pause. Touch the bread. Take a breath. And say something simple, like, "This home is grounded. This family is supported. May abundance rise like yeast in warm dough, quietly, steadily, always enough. And yes, eat the bread. Share it. Let it feed you and your loved ones." That's the power of ritual. It's not in what we believe. It's in how we show up, again and again, in small, sacred ways. Bread may seem humble. But that's the secret. True wealth doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up in what's dependable. In what nourishes us quietly. And when you begin to see that bread not as an item, but as a prayer, you begin to build a financial life that's not just rich, but steady, strong, and whole. Part 5, Olive Oil, Liquid Gold for Unblocking Prosperity Flow. Olive oil has been called many things throughout history: the nectar of the gods, liquid gold, and even the light of the earth. But what if I told you it's also a quiet magnet for wealth, one that's probably already sitting in your kitchen? Let's start with something simple. Money is like water. It needs to flow. It needs to move. When it stagnates, when it's blocked by fear, clutter, or chaos, it dries up. But when you create space for it to move freely, it returns to you again and again. Olive oil carries that same energy. It's fluid. It's nourishing. And more importantly, it has been used for centuries to anoint, protect, and bless. In ancient Greece, olive oil was poured onto sacred statues. In the Middle East, it was used to anoint kings and spiritual leaders. In Buddhist-inspired rituals, oils are sometimes infused with herbs and used to bless doorways or sacred tools. In each tradition, the message is the same: this substance flows with divine energy. So when you place olive oil on your dining table, not hidden in a cabinet, but present, intentional, visible, you're doing more than displaying a cooking ingredient. You're inviting the energy of smooth, unblocked wealth to take root in your home. There's a beautiful saying in Feng Shui: where there is flow, there is fortune. That's what olive oil brings, flow. If you want to bring this energy into your own home, try this. Choose a small, elegant bottle of olive oil, ideally something beautiful, even if simple. Place it on your dining table, perhaps next to your salt or pepper. Each time you sit down to eat, touch the bottle gently and say silently, "We welcome flow. We allow ease. Wealth moves freely in this home." You can even use the oil in symbolic ways, drizzle it over bread while repeating a money affirmation, or anoint the edge of your table once a week to keep the energy smooth. In some traditions, a drop is even placed on the center of a coin and left near the oil for 7 days as a way to wake up stagnant fortune. But again, as with everything in Dharma, intention is what activates energy. The oil doesn't work unless you invite it to. Not with your words alone, but with your awareness. Because olive oil isn't just food. It's a channel, a carrier, a reminder that wealth, like nourishment, is best when it's steady, smooth, and flowing. Let your table reflect that truth. Part 6. Salt, crystallized energy that holds or breaks wealth. Salt. It's one of the simplest substances on earth. It's in your food. It's in your body. It's even in your tears. But don't let its simplicity fool you. Salt is one of the oldest spiritual tools for protection, purification, and wealth preservation. In Buddhist temples, bowls of salt are sometimes placed discreetly in corners or entryways, not just to absorb moisture or purify space, but to absorb invisible negative energy. In Feng Shui, salt is believed to stabilize the energy of a room, especially when wealth feels fragile or uncertain. So what does this have to do with your dining table? Everything. Your dining space is not just a physical location. It's an energetic heart of your home, a place where your family's energy meets your food, your conversations, your karma. If the energy here is off, if it's heavy, cluttered, or tense, then your money energy can become unstable too. Salt, in this context, acts like a spiritual sponge. It draws out the low vibrations. It clears static. It rebalances the field. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room after someone argued and felt it, even though no words were spoken? That heaviness in the air? That's energy. And salt is one of the oldest tools we've ever had to clear it. In Japan, sumo wrestlers throw salt onto the ring before a match to purify the space and banish bad luck. In traditional Shinto practices, salt is placed at the threshold of homes to ward off negative spirits. Even in Buddhist rituals, salt is used to cleanse sacred objects and reset intention. Now imagine bringing that same energy to your table. A woman named Priya, who follows the Dharma path, once told me a beautiful story. Her family was going through a hard time financially. Her husband's job had become unstable, and she had recently left hers. Their dining table, once a joyful place of gathering, became tense. Silent. Meals were short. Conversations were tight. She described it as a place where fear lived. After a retreat, she returned home and began a small practice. She filled a small white bowl with sea salt and placed it at the center of the table. Each morning, before breakfast, she whispered into it, "Absorb what no longer serves. Protect what remains. Open the way." She replaced the salt every week, always throwing the old salt into running water or the earth, never into the trash. Within weeks, things began to shift. Her husband's work stabilized. Their communication improved. She didn't claim the salt was magic, she claimed it reminded her to clean the energy, the mindset, and the intention. And that's the deeper lesson. Salt doesn't fix your life, but it clears the path so you can. So how can you use salt at your dining table? Here are a few simple but powerful options. Place a small bowl of coarse sea salt, not table salt, in the center of the table or tucked nearby. Replace the salt weekly. As you do, say something like, "Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for making space for what's next." Avoid letting the salt sit too long. Just like it absorbs energy, it needs to be released. For deeper clearing, you can mix the salt with dried herbs like rosemary, basil, or bay leaf, all known in spiritual traditions for abundance and protection. You can also take a cloth dampened with salt water and gently wipe down the surface of your dining table once a week. Do it slowly, mindfully. Imagine clearing away not just crumbs and dust, but resentment, stagnation, and fear. Remember, money doesn't grow in chaos. It flows in clean, balanced space. Salt teaches us that wealth isn't just about what we bring in. It's also about what we clear away. The patterns, the scarcity thinking, the guilt, the noise. Sometimes, we don't need to add more, we just need to cleanse. And salt, in all its quiet strength, is here to help. Part 7, Cinnamon, the Flame of Sudden Fortune. There's something about cinnamon. The scent alone can stop you in your tracks, warm, sweet, familiar, and somehow hopeful. It's not just a flavor. It's a feeling. And that feeling carries powerful energy. In ancient spiritual traditions, cinnamon has long been regarded as a fire element, not the kind of fire that burns everything down, but the kind that ignites transformation. The spark, the catalyst, the heat that awakens dormant energy and moves things into motion. So why cinnamon on your dining table? Because sometimes, in your financial journey, you don't just need stability. You don't just need protection or flow. Sometimes, you need momentum. You need a sacred push that says, now is the time. Move forward. Break through. Cinnamon is that push. In Buddhist philosophy, all things arise from cause and condition. When the conditions are right, even the smallest shift can create a powerful ripple. Cinnamon represents that exact shift, the energetic condition that turns waiting into action, delay into motion, and intention into result. In folk Feng Shui, cinnamon sticks are often tied with red thread and placed near the entrance or the kitchen to attract fast-moving fortune. In Latin American and Middle Eastern traditions, cinnamon is used in tea and food not just for flavor, but to stir passion, confidence, and vitality, all traits needed to pursue new opportunities. Let me share a real story that illustrates this. A man named Terrell, an independent graphic designer in San Diego, had been in a financial rut for nearly a year. He had talent. He had skill. But somehow, clients weren't showing up. Every proposal he sent was met with silence. And slowly, doubt crept in. Then one morning, his grandmother, a quiet woman deeply rooted in old folk wisdom, came to visit. She walked into his apartment, looked around, and asked, "Why is your table so cold?" Confused, Terrell asked what she meant. She pointed at the bare table and said, "No life. No scent. No fire." Then she pulled out a small bundle of cinnamon sticks from her bag and placed them in a bowl at the center of his table. She told him, "This spice moves things. Try it." That week, he decided to take it further. He added a cinnamon-scented candle beside the bowl. Before eating each night, he would light it and say, "May the fire awaken what sleeps. May opportunity find its way." 3 days later, a past client emailed him out of the blue. A week later, another referral. Within a month, Terrell had more work than he could handle. Was it just timing? Maybe. But something had shifted. Energy had moved. That's the mystery of cinnamon. You see, not all wealth comes slowly. Sometimes, the universe is simply waiting for you to strike the match. To say, "I'm ready for more." Cinnamon, especially when placed with intention, acts like that match. It lights the path. It says, "Let's go." If you'd like to invite this energy into your dining space, here's a simple way to begin. Place 3 cinnamon sticks in a small dish or wrap them together with red thread, the color of fire, vitality, and active yang energy. Set them at the center of your table or beside your fruit bowl. Light a candle next to it if you can, even for just a few minutes before meals. And as you sit to eat, take a moment to breathe deeply and speak this intention. Let fortune move. Let doors open. Let the heat of action burn through delay. You don't need fancy rituals. Just presence. Belief. A willingness to activate. And if you enjoy cooking with cinnamon, even better. Stir it into your food as a sacred act. Bake it into bread. Add it to your tea. Ingest the energy. Let it warm not just your body, but your financial chi. Cinnamon reminds us that wealth doesn't always trickle. Sometimes, it erupts, but only when we're ready to receive it. When the spark has been lit. So if things in your life have felt slow, still, or stuck, this might be your moment. Bring cinnamon to your table. Light the flame. And let the fire of sudden fortune find its way to you. Part 8. Flowers. Wealth blooms where beauty resides. There's something magical about fresh flowers. You don't even have to touch them, just walk past, and the room feels different. Lighter. More alive. And that's no coincidence. In Buddhist practice, flowers are used as offerings not because they last, but because they don't. Their beauty is temporary, a reminder of impermanence, of the fleeting nature of all things, including suffering. But in that short life, they radiate pure, vibrant energy. And when placed with intention, especially on your dining table, flowers become magnifiers of wealth energy. Think of it this way, your dining table is where energy settles. It's where your family gathers, where stories are told, and where food, the most basic form of abundance, is shared. Adding fresh flowers into that space isn't just about aesthetics. It's about raising the vibration of the entire room. In Feng Shui, flowers are associated with growth, movement, and harmony. But even more than that, color matters. Each color speaks a different energetic language. Each petal becomes a symbol, a silent affirmation, of the kind of wealth you're calling in. Let's explore what that looks like in practice. Yellow flowers, like sunflowers or yellow orchids, represent confidence, vitality, and financial breakthroughs. Their brightness awakens ambition and sparks motion, the kind of energy you want when launching a new business, asking for a raise, or stepping into a bold financial decision. Red flowers, such as roses or poinsettias, carry the energy of speed, passion, and drive. They're perfect when you want fast movement, quick results, decisive action, or an energetic boost to overcome procrastination. In the 5-element system, red activates the fire element, which in turn burns through stagnation. Purple and blue flowers bring depth and stability. Lavender, lilacs, or blue hydrangeas represent long-term wealth, wisdom, and peace. These are not about flashy wins, but steady accumulation, the energy of a wise investor or a grounded entrepreneur who builds their success over time. White flowers, like lilies or peonies, bring clarity. They cleanse. They reset. When your financial energy feels cluttered or confusing, white flowers bring a sense of calm precision, the stillness that helps you make smart, soul-aligned decisions. But more important than the color is the condition of the flowers. Nothing drains energy faster than a wilted bouquet. Dried petals, browning stems, they don't just signal neglect, they signal energetic decay. And the last thing you want sitting in the center of your prosperity zone is something that represents death or loss. That's why in spiritual traditions, especially within Buddhist mindfulness, freshness equals presence. To care for flowers is to care for your energy. It shows attention, love, worthiness. So how can you bring this into your space? Start with fresh flowers. Weekly if possible. Choose colors that reflect your current goals or emotional needs. Place them at the center of your table, not off to the side, but in the heart of the space where energy gathers. Every time you replace them, speak a simple phrase of intention, like, "May beauty attract abundance. May what is fresh invite what is new. May wealth bloom here." And when those flowers begin to wilt, thank them. Then release them. Do not let old energy linger. Toss them into the compost or earth with gratitude, and welcome the next bouquet with fresh energy. Because in the end, flowers remind us of something we often forget. Wealth is not just about security. It's about joy, color, life. Let your dining table reflect that joy. Let beauty be your invitation, and abundance your guest. Part 9, Dining Table Prosperity Rituals, How to Truly Activate the Energy Flow. By now, you've seen how your dining table can become more than just a piece of furniture. It's a space of memory, of connection, of energy. But here's the truth most people never consider. What you place on your table is only half the story. The other half is how you interact with it. That's where ritual comes in. In Buddhist practice, rituals aren't superstition. They're mindfulness in motion, intentional actions that align your inner world with the outer one. And when done consistently, they shift the energy of your space in ways that go far beyond aesthetics. So if you're ready to truly turn your dining table into an altar of abundance, here's how you begin, not with complex traditions, but with small, sacred habits that reshape the energy day by day. 1. Cleanse the table, clear the flow. It starts with cleanliness, not just physical, but energetic. Before placing any prosperity items on your table, wipe the surface with salt water or herb-infused water. As you clean, imagine removing not just dust, but old emotions, stress, worry, financial fear. Breathe out as you wipe. Say silently, "Let this space release what no longer serves. Let it welcome what's ready to grow." Do this weekly. You'll be surprised how different the room feels, even before you light a single candle. 2. Set the table with intention, not perfection. You don't need an elaborate layout, but you do need presence. Arrange your fruits, bread, spices, flowers, and oils with balance and care. Think of it like arranging a mandala, not rigid, but flowing. Let every object hold meaning. Each time you set something down, pause. Don't rush. Whisper an intention. For example, as you place a bowl of fruit, may abundance multiply here. As you set bread on a tray, may we always have what we need, and enough to share. As you add a touch of salt or a cinnamon stick, let this space be protected and powerful. It's not about the objects, it's about how you relate to them. 3. Mind the energy of conversation. This one is often overlooked, and maybe the most important. Your dining table is not a place for arguments, anxiety, or financial stress talk. These things happen, of course. We're human. But be mindful, the energy that lingers around meals seeps into your money flow. In Buddhist households, it's common to begin meals with a moment of silence, not for formality, but to bring everyone into the present. You can do this too. Try a simple practice. 3 silent breaths before every meal. No phones. No multitasking. Just a pause, long enough to remember that this meal is a blessing, and this space is sacred. And when conversations begin, steer them, gently, toward what's working. Toward gratitude. Ask each person at the table, "What went well today?" Or "What are you looking forward to this week?" This may sound soft, but the energetic shift it creates is powerful. Joyful conversations build lightness. And that lightness draws wealth. 4. Align with lunar cycles. If you want to go deeper, you can begin aligning your dining rituals with the moon. Why? Because the moon governs water, emotion, and flow, the same elements that impact financial energy. New moon, perfect time to reset your table. Deep clean. Replace your salt. Rearrange your objects. Light a new candle. Speak a new intention. Full moon, time for gratitude. Place a special fruit bowl on the table that evening. Light a candle, and speak aloud all that you're thankful for, especially financially. These small rituals done with lunar rhythm create a natural cycle of renewal, the same cycle we want to see in our wealth. 5. Create a mini altar of prosperity. This is a personal favorite. Choose a small tray or cloth at the center of your table. On it, place a loaf of bread or rice, for stability. A bowl of fruit, for abundance. A tiny bowl of salt, for protection. A bottle of olive oil, for flow. A flower or herb, for growth. And, if you feel called, a coin or crystal to represent your wealth intention. You don't need to explain it to guests. Just know that you've created a center of energy. One that speaks, quietly but clearly, to the universe about your readiness to receive. Part 10, Final Lessons, Eating Like the Wealthy-Minded. By now, you may never look at your dining table the same way again. And that's the point. Because true wealth, the kind that lasts, the kind that heals, the kind that expands your life rather than consumes it, is rarely found in spreadsheets or bank statements. It's found in rhythm, in energy, in the small, sacred choices we make every day. And one of the most powerful choices you can make is how you approach your meals. In Buddhist teachings, eating is considered a form of meditation, a moment of deep connection between body, spirit, and the world around us. We're not just feeding hunger. We're receiving life. We're inviting nourishment, not just into our stomachs, but into our entire energetic field. When you begin to treat your dining space as sacred, everything starts to shift. Not because you placed a red apple instead of a green one. Not because your salt is perfectly arranged. But because your mindset is different. You're no longer eating out of habit. You're eating with intention. You're no longer sitting down at a surface, you're sitting down at a ceremony. And this is where the wealthy-minded truly separate themselves, not just by what they buy or how much they earn, but by how they relate to the flow of energy in their lives. They don't rush meals. They create space for them. They don't complain while eating, they express gratitude. They don't let clutter, chaos, or conflict dominate their dining table, because they know that what enters the table, enters the home. And what enters the home, enters the heart. So what now? You don't need to do everything at once. In fact, you shouldn't. Rituals lose power when we turn them into checklists. Instead, choose one practice from this entire journey. Maybe it's adding a bowl of fruit. Maybe it's lighting a candle before dinner. Maybe it's simply wiping the table with a little more care. Choose one. Start there. And let the energy guide you to the next. Let me leave you with this thought. Every time you sit down to eat, you are declaring what kind of life you believe you deserve. Is it rushed? Distracted? Depleted? Or is it calm, abundant, grateful, and whole? You get to choose. Your dining table is not just a place for meals. It's a portal. A daily chance to practice the energy of wealth, not through accumulation, but through attention. Not through perfection, but through presence. So light that candle. Pour that olive oil. Replace the wilted flowers. Clean the salt bowl. Speak a small prayer into your bread. And remember, you are not just eating. You are manifesting. You are receiving. You are aligning with the vibration of abundance. And when you do it consistently, even in small ways, the universe listens. Because wealth doesn't begin in the wallet. It begins at the table. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. May your meals be filled with nourishment, your space with peace, and your life with ever-expanding fortune. Now go, clear your table, light a little flame, and begin your next meal not just as a diner, but as a creator of wealth.